Good evening and Shabbat Shalom. First, let me introduce myself. I am Ellen Tom, President of Congregation Achduth Vesholom. I am honored after serving for the last 4 years in this capacity, that my last official role will be formally helping to install our 24th spiritual leader, Rabbi Meir Bargeron, and welcome his husband, John. While COVID might have delayed this simcha, I believe I speak for all when I say that Rabbi Meir has already installed himself into the fabric of Achduth Vesholom. Tonight, I am also joined on the bima by Fran Adler, Mike Rush, co-chairs for our Rabbinic Search Committee, and Ronnie Greenberg, our next congregational president beginning July 1st. Mike and Ronnie will be participating with our Hazemir Choir. A few housekeeping issues. We appreciate everyone wearing their masks while inside the building. People who are vaccinated and are on the bima doing bima things, to include our Hazemir Choir, may be unmasked. If you have not already done so, now is a good time to make sure your cell phones are turned to silent mode. So everybody's getting that out. Good. If you need to use the restroom, they are straight down the hall, first doors on the left. And now it is my pleasure to introduce John Planer, Director of our Hazemir Choir and member of the Rabbinic Search and Consecration Committees.
The Hazemir Choir traditionally welcomes our new congregational rabbi, as well as visiting rabbis and cantors, with Louis Lewandowski's setting of Psalm 118, verse 26, which welcomes a bridegroom to the wedding canopy, Baruch haba. The text reads, "Blessed is the one who comes in the name of Adonai. We bless you, you is plural, from the house of Adonai." Indeed, this Shabbat, we formally welcome Rabbi Bargeron into our congregational family, a holy shidduch of rabbi and congregation. But we may ask, why is the you plural? We bless y'all, barachnuchem, from God's house. Because we welcome not only Rabbi Bargeron, but also John into our congregation. And we welcome Rabbis Latz and Kipnes and Weisberg, who join us today. And in a wider sense, we bless all who are here in person and online as we consecrate and celebrate this union. Go for it.
Shabbat Shalom. Boy, you know how to make a rabbi feel very welcome. Thank you so much, Hazemir, for that beautiful moment. I can't think of a more welcoming gesture that's fully congregation Achduth Vesholom than what you just offered me. Thank you very much. And thank you to everyone who is here tonight. This is, Shabbat would be enough, right? So this is a very special moment for our community. This really is the first time that we have been able to be together, shall I say, grandly in, 16 months, something like that. And so what a beautiful moment this is for us. And what a special moment it is for me to be able to be here and to officially become the rabbi of this community. I am so grateful that each of you are here. There are a few specific welcomes I would like to offer. First, I am just overwhelmed to have family and friends with us tonight. And I'd like to welcome my mother, Bargeron from Bay City, Michigan, my brother, my bonus sister, and my niece, Sydney from Zionsville, my dear friends, Phil Oxman and his husband, Rabbi Zuckman from Minneapolis, and one of my Jewish teachers, Wendy Goldberg from St. Louis Park, Minnesota, and my beloved John Tam, who has walked a long journey with me. I'm also very, very excited to have joining us tonight my clergy colleagues here in Fort Wayne. Joining us tonight here in the sanctuary are Reverend Misty Dawn Shelley, who is the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Fort Wayne, neighbors across the parking lot. It's nice to see you in here. I know you've been here probably more times than I have at this point, and I'm glad you're with us tonight. I'm also very welcome the Reverend Dr. Bill McGill, senior pastor of Imani Baptist Temple. Thank you for being with us. And I'm pleased to welcome the Reverend Dr. Timothy Murphy, the senior pastor of Plymouth Church. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. And I want to make special welcome to my teachers, my colleagues, my rabbis participating tonight via Zoom, including Rabbi Mike, lead rabbi of Shir Tikva congregation in Minneapolis, senior rabbi for Ami in Calabasas, California, and Rabbi Dvora Weisberg, director of the Rabbinic School, and Rabbi Aaron D. Penkin, professor of rabbinics at Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion, and she in Los Angeles. Thank you, all of you, and each of you for being here tonight. Tonight is a night of blessings, and a little bit of a spoiler alert, this is a Shabbat of blessings, and if you want to hear more about that, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., I'll be talking a little bit specifically about that. But we are so blessed by each other's presence, and we're having a moment of blessing, and it is, to say it is my pleasure, doesn't even begin to describe what an honor it is to be able to invite my rabbi, Rabbi Michael Adam Latz of Congregation Shir Tikva, in Minneapolis, and I won't go on and on. I'll get a chance to introduce him for something else tomorrow, but I will say that I would not be here tonight if it weren't for a conversation that I had with Rabbi Latz. And so I would now like to invite him to say a few words, and we'll let you know when we can see you and you can start. Good, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Rabbi. Now everybody's going to wonder what that conversation was, Rabbi Bargeron. I'll never tell. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's such a joy to be with you here tonight to celebrate my dear friend and your beloved Rabbi Meir Bargeron, your amazing new Rebbitzman, John Tam, and their family. A special shout out to Maria, who we miss you, Maria. Come back for Passover, please, and to your entire congregation. We are about to pray the words of Kabbalat Shabbat, a service the mystical rabbis of Tzfat wove together from the Psalms almost 5 centuries ago. Those rabbis were wise. They sought to create a container for joy as we move from the week into the holiness of Shabbat. They carefully stitched together a service with ancient words that would carry us into a new frame of mind, to connect with the earth, with the majesty of creation, with the water and the mountains, with the awesome blessing of being alive, with the charge to sing a new song, a song of robust hope and possibility and love. Rabbi Meir and John, your journey to this moment is one of immense blessing. Leading a congregation requires the creativity of the mystical and the Talmudic rabbis to see a world beyond what merely is to what is holy and possible, to dream a new way of being and relating to one another, to hold at the center of your lives the tender, broken, resilient, loving hearts of the Jewish people and all our loved ones, to hold the broken heart of the world in your own as you raise together a Torah of God's promise for us, to be a people with a purpose, to make a busted world whole. At its heart, Judaism is ultimately a human dignity project. And we rabbis are teachers and leaders of that sacred trust, that awesome and exhausting work, the privilege of standing in the breaches of the world and weaving together the fragmented strands of our lives into a garment of glory and dignity and love. Rav Meir, John, and to this beautiful congregation, as we consecrate you this Shabbat Balak 5781, Meir, I am awed by your generosity of spirit, your thoughtfulness as a rabbinic pastor and teacher, your gifts of patience, kindness, and steady leadership. I pray that as each of you listens deeply to the other, as you build holy trust and sacred knowing, I pray you rejoice often, share inspiring Torah, weep the tears that must be shed, and together rise up and lead our people forth with courage, with creativity, with tenderness, and with love. Chazak uvaruch, may you go forth, may you be brave, may you be humble, may you be vulnerable, and may you be loving. Amen and Mazal Tov. Shabbat Shalom.
Amen. Todah, Rabbi Latz. That was it was a beautiful blessing. Thank you so much for that gift to all of us. And I'm just so pleased that you're with us. Jewish life is generational. We know this when we come to the moment of a B'nai Mitzvah, when a young adult is claiming their Jewish identity. We gladly embrace them and are so excited as they move forward into this new stage of their life. Jewish texts, the rabbis who have given so much to the tradition that we study, the Judaism we know today, speak in terms of generations of teachers who pass knowledge from one student who then becomes a master, who then teaches the students behind, and so on. It's kind of like that with rabbis today, too. And I am very, very pleased to be able to welcome Rabbi Paul Kipnes, who was and is a rabbi who has taught me so many things about being a rabbi. And it is just a delight to have him with us here tonight to offer some words. We can see you, Rabbi Kipnes, and you can begin when you're ready.
Thank you so much. And you'll forgive me all, soon after I speak, I have to leave to prepare for my own Shabbat. Being in California, I'm going to Malibu where we're having a beach Shabbat. But Shabbat Shalom, in these few moments of worshiping with you and in the many warm exchanges with your leadership, especially your wonderfully warm president, Ellen Tom, and listening to this beautiful music of Hazemir, I see what Rabbi Meir has been felling about when he said that Congregation Achduth Shalom is one of the warmest, most welcoming communities he has ever experienced. All this year, his stories of your bright light have radiated all the way over here to the West Coast, and it is blindingly beautiful. Now, our teacher, Rabbi Richard Levy of blessed memory, used to regale us at consecration services like these by examining the name of the honoree. He believed that within names, one finds clues to the named one's essence. Well, your rabbi, my dear friend, our dear friend, Meir Bargeron, is known among the people Israel by the name Meir Gefenyahu ben Avraham Vesara. What does that name teach us about him? Meir simply means one who kindles or illuminates. What's the essence of that name? Well, your rabbi chose that Hebrew name as an adult, in large part because Meir sounded like Maria, the name of his dear mom. Now, Maria is not a Jewish name, but like this non-Jewish woman with a very Jewish soul, the name Maria might be the contraction of two Jewish words. Mar, meaning bitter, like in maror, Passover's bitter herbs, and Yah, Yud-Hey, the first two letters of God's name. Over the next decades with your new rabbi, I urge you to spend some time to get to know his mom, Maria, and you will see how she shines both in essential goodness and also the light of the divine. And knowing her will kindle those two qualities in you. And then you will begin to sense where your Meir, your Rabbi Meir, learned to mix sweetness and love into the bitterness of life, like we do on Pesach, mixing the sweet charoset into the bitter herbs. Maria, you see, taught him to sweeten the bitter and to be the blessing that he is. Now, Rabbi Meir's middle Hebrew name, Gefenyahu, contracts two Hebrew words. Geffen, meaning vine or wine, as in Borei Pri Hagafen, the Kiddush, and Yahu, perhaps as in Yahoo, our rabbi rocks, or more likely, as in Yud Hey, Yahu, the first two letters of God's name, first three. Geffen Yahu connects Meir to his dad, Dennis, long deceased, but still an influencing presence in his life. The name Dennis in English is derived from Dionysus, the Greco-Roman god of the grape harvest. Your Rabbi Meir, Gefenyahu, God's vine, inherited from Dennis a warm smile and a gregarious friendliness. Dennis, I understand, was always ready to lend a hand to others, as his overflowing love showered Maria and Meir and everyone else with his holy life. He had plenty to give. So when we sing about God's vine, Borei Pri Hagafen, over the Kiddush wine, we transform what was previously regular, Friday, into something holy, Shabbat. When you notice Rabbi Meir's friendliness, his warm smile, his inherent urge to help, and then you remember it is a reflection of his father Dennis, whom you never met, you nonetheless will have transformed Dennis's memory back into holy light. Now, about his beloved John, don't get me started. Officially, John is also Howard, which may cause you some discomfort as it does me each time you pause again to discern what to call him. But call him John, that's his name. And more importantly, just call him into your extended family. His Hebrew name is Yonatan, which I'd like to think means Yonatan. Yo, he's a ton of fun, which technically is not the translation, but aptly describes this wonderful man. With John's expansive extended family, his fascinating American-born Chinese heritage, his abiding, deeply cherished and valued Judaism, his amazing ability to cook and bake up a storm, you will cherish this couple and soon recognize them as the newly illuminating light that they are. And of course, their joint love of their dog, qua human Charlie, will inspire you. But wait, there's more. Names are fascinating. Late one night, while contemplating your rabbi's last name, Bargeron, it occurred to me that Bargeron might be a construction of three words. The English word bar the establishment where we partake of the fruit of God's vine. The Hebrew word ger, meaning the stranger who dwells among us, and the Hebrew word ran, meaning song or sing a song. Rabbi Bargeron, perhaps, then, is the man who was once a stranger to us, yet through his singing has raised the bar for all of us, illuminating the light of holiness. He gets us drunk on the divine. Or as one of my friends quipped way too late at night, Meir gets us lit. Now, if you don't know this already, do what I did and go Google get lit. And you'll learn that it is slang for getting high. That's not what I meant. So when I realized that, I decided there and then that I should not mention it in my teaching tonight. So I won't. Oops. Yet stay with me for a second. Rabbi Bargeron actually does help us get lit. Jewish lit, that is. His text teaching skills will enhance your knowledge and appreciation of Jewish literature. Rabbi Meir will put you under the influence of Jewish wisdom, which too often feels foreign to us. And Rabbi Bargeron, whose name Meir means to kindle or bring light, will raise you onto a spiritual high as his light pierces the darkness of loneliness, sadness, and pain, of justice and intolerance. And by his singing and preaching and holding us even from a pandemic distance, he will shine it brightly, especially into the light. Rabbi Meir is no longer a stranger. He is your lamplighter. In our next prayer, Ma'ariv Aravim, we will read, Or Chadash al Tzion Te'ir, a new light will shine over Zion. Zion, or Tzion, is often refers to the land of Israel, yet it can also refer to the people of Israel. That's Meir and John, the new lights shining amongst this holy congregation, sharing their light with you. Now, you know, having reflected upon the light that is hidden within Rabbi Meir, can we for a moment reflect upon its opposite, the darkness? The very thing that Meir, by his name and persona, tries to help us banish? Can we ask, is there really such a thing as darkness? Clearly, a simple reading of the first day of creation in Torah suggests darkness is real. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. When God began to creating the heavens and the earth was chaotic and unformed, and across the chaotic water's face there was darkness. And of course, God created light and separated the darkness from the light, and God called the light day and then called the darkness night. What was that darkness that seemed to pre-exist light? You might think that darkness had essence in itself, yet I think you might be wrong. According to an apocryphal story, none other than the great physicist Albert Einstein once confronted a professor on the alleged duality of existence. He said, "You're wrong again, sir. Darkness is not something. It is the absence of something. You can have low light, normal light, bright light, flashing light. But if you have no light constantly, then you have nothing. And it's called darkness, isn't it?" That's the meaning we use to define the word. Yet in reality, darkness isn't. It doesn't exist. In physics, the science of the physical world, darkness is just the absence of light. In Bereshit, Genesis, the spiritual journey to creation, God names the darkness only after God creates the light, indicating that darkness is derivative. Darkness is just an absence of the newly created light. Like cold is the absence of heat, like evil is really the absence of good, like death is the absence of life, like how the pandemic quarantine made us feel like we were alone, that our world was cold and dead and filled with evil, that every holy community, including this one, might God forbid die. Well, Einstein and Torah came to tell us that none of that is true. A truth we increasingly discern because your Rabbi Meir illuminates it for us. We know we need not fall into falseness, imagining the world as dark or cold or dead or fundamentally unjust. When Rabbi Meir Gefenyahu, like a good, well-aged wine, pours out the sweet elixir that is his heart and soul and mind, he activates so much within us. Warmth when we are cold, renewed connection to life when we feel overwhelmed by death, a path to goodness, compassion, and justice when it feels like evil is becoming too real. Yes, in the midst of descending night, Rabbi Meir comforts us, explaining that darkness is just an absence, and we are forces of light. Meir guides us like the Baal Shem Tov to remove our little hands from before our eyes to witness God's wondrous light. Rabbi Meir reminds us that the cycles of day and not day, love and not love, community and not community are categories we can descend as we get lit on the holiness of light. So let's bless. Blessed be this temple congregation, Achduth, Shalom, for bringing Rabbi Meir Gefenyahu, a lamplighter, into your midst. Blessed be Rabbi Meir Gefenyahu, for the light you have shined and will shine into these lives in the weeks, years, and decades ahead. And especially, blessed be the Holy One, who rolls light into darkness, bringing together all this illumination, the light of this congregation with the light of this rabbi. May God's sweet vine ever be illuminated. And let us say together, Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Kipnes. That's all I can say is thank you. It was beautiful. Thank you, Hazemir, for leading us in the prayer for healing. And in a moment, we are going to hear from an amazing teacher. And I think I told you when I was introducing Rabbi Michael Latz, I had a conversation with him. And if I hadn't had a conversation with him, I wouldn't be here tonight. Well, a few weeks after I had that conversation with Rabbi Latz, I got up the nerve to make an appointment to have a phone call with Rabbi Dvora Weisberg, who is the director of the rabbinical program at Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion. And basically, I asked her, hey, do you think I could be a rabbi? More like practical questions for somebody who wasn't exactly right out of college and had a lot of other questions. And from the first conversation that I had with Rabbi Weisberg to the last moment of my days as a student at HUC, she has been a tremendously impactful teacher in my life personally, and I've seen in my classmates and in the generations of rabbis before me the contribution she is making to the Reform movement through the work that she does in teaching rabbis. Tonight it is my honor and a treat for you to have Rabbi Dvora Weisberg offer a Devar Torah. We can see you, Rabbi Weisberg, and you can begin when you're ready.
I'm so honored to be here this evening. What a pleasure and what a privilege to see someone who first came to you and said, "Do you think I could be a rabbi?" On the pulpit in his first congregation. This week's Torah portion, Parshat Balak, opens with the words, "Vayar Balak ben Beor." Balak, the son of Beor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites, and he was afraid. Well, at first glance, this sounds straightforward. I was struck by the use of the word vayar, and he saw. I asked myself, what did Balak actually see? Balak could not have seen whatever the Israelites had done to the Amorites, the inhabitants of a neighboring country. He most likely learned about Israel's victories over the Amorites from people who had witnessed the fighting or had spoken to survivors. Why doesn't the Torah say, and Balak heard? Just as in Exodus 18, we read that Jethro, Moses' father, heard what God had done to the Egyptians on behalf of the Israelites. What does the Torah mean to teach us by using the word vayar, and he saw? Perhaps Balak heard about Israel's defeat of the Amorites and imagined what they might do when they encountered his people. Perhaps in his mind's eye, he saw the Israelites as an invading army, or as he describes them to his people, as a horde that will lick clean all that is about us, as an ox licks up the grass of the field. Balak sees and encourages others to see the Israelites as a plague of locusts whose sheer numbers will hide the earth from view. No wonder then that he decides to hire a prophet to curse them. The verb to see in Hebrew, resh aleph he, is used again and again in this parasha. What is notable is the myopic vision of the two main actors in this drama. Like Balak, the king of Moab, Bilam, the prophet whom he summons to curse Israel, is unable to see or understand Israel until God intervenes and opens his eyes. Bilam's blindness is hinted at during his journey to meet Balak. We read an almost comic account, one deeply appreciated by all religious school students, of Bilam riding his donkey, who swerves 3 times to avoid an angel whom the donkey can see, but who is apparently invisible to Bilam. Only after Vayigal Adonai et Einei Bilam Vayar, God uncovered Bilam's eyes, and then, only then, Bilam saw. Was he able to recognize the angel? Even before Bilam takes up his assignment, we readers know that he lacks the vision that distinguishes a true prophet. Bilam himself warns Balak of his own limitations, saying, Udvar ma yir'ani, what God shows me is the only thing I'll be able to say. At the request of Balak, his would-be employer, Bilam tries 4 times to curse Israel. All of his attempts fail, much to the distress and anger of his employer. But when we analyze the language of the Torah, we see Bilam progressing from blindness to insight. After Bilam's first attempt, he reports, Ki merosh tzurim ar'enu, hein am levad yishkon. As I see them from the mountaintops, gaze on them from the heights, there is a people that dwells apart. Bilam sees Israel for himself. But unlike the invading horde of his Balak's imagination, Bilam describes Israel as harmless, but also standoffish. They're not necessarily a threat to Balak and his country, but neither are they the people you would invite over for cake and coffee. They're aliens, outsiders, people who avoid becoming part of your community. At Balak's insistence, Bilam's second sighting of Israel takes place from a closer vantage point. He's urged to position himself in a place from which he will see only a portion of them, but not all of them. Don't look too carefully. Coming closer to Israel, Bilam no longer sees them as a people that dwells apart. Now he can recognize Israel as a people with God in their midst. He also acknowledges for the first time that Israel has a history. God brought them out of Egypt, he reports. The Israelites are people with a story of slavery and redemption. Balak, still determined to have his enemies cursed, moves Bilam again. The Torah tells us that Bilam now looked up and saw Israel encamped tribe by tribe. For the first time, Bilam experiences complete insight. He describes himself now as a person whose eye is true, who beholds visions from the Almighty. He offers the words that we read every day in our prayer book, words that often open our morning service. Matovu ohalecha, Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. How fair are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. What did Bilam see that sparked his praise? The Talmud suggests that he saw the Israelites had arranged their tents so that no person's tent opening faced the opening of their neighbor's tent. Even in the wilderness, the Talmud tells us, the Israelites respected each other's need for privacy, a rare feature when camping out. I want to offer a simpler answer. Bilam saw the people as they were. He saw the Israelites going about their everyday business in their encampment. he realized that the Israelites were not an invading army, but a collection of ordinary people, adults, children, preparing food, mending their clothes, going about their everyday business, caring for each other. When the Israelites were an unknown entity, Bilam could project his own fears and prejudices onto them, and it was easy to imagine cursing them. Now, seeing them as real people, as ordinary people, as individuals, he was truly moved to bless them. None of us is a professional prophet. I could never have predicted that Rabbi Bargeron would move to Fort Wayne, Indiana. We're not hired to curse and bless people. But like Balak and Bilam, we are constantly presented with opportunities to make quick judgments about people whom we have not yet met or whom we are encountering for the first time. Sometimes we find ourselves passing judgment on people we don't know, people who live far away, people profiled in the news, people who walk into our synagogue for the first time. It's easy and often tempting to base our assumptions and our interactions with new people on minimal information, whether they look or sound like us, what they're wearing, or what we've heard about them from others. Balak may have been a good ruler, and Bilam clearly had a reputation as a very successful prophet, but they both acted on secondhand information and judged the Israelites as a threat before they had any direct experience of them. Allowing ourselves to see other people, to get to know them, allows us to form our own impressions. We may come to agree with what we've heard about them from others, and we may also come to realize that human beings are more complex and interesting than a short biography or a soundbite can suggest. It may lead us to appreciate them, even to bless them. The person who walks with uncertainty into our synagogue may end up a valued member of our community. If we take the time to see people, we can progress from seeing them as an unknown threat or as outsiders who cannot make it into our community to human beings whose way of life we can appreciate and admire. Tonight, Congregation Achduth Vesholom formally welcomes Rabbi Bargeron as their new spiritual leader. The process by which a rabbi and a congregation come together is one that requires each party to discern in the other the qualities that will make them a good match. This isn't easy, as your search committee knows. A congregation and a rabbi must make this decision based on reading a little about each other, speaking on the phone or by Zoom, and then a short visit. Each takes a chance, hoping that they will prove to be a good shidduch, a good match. Over the first year that a rabbi and a congregation spend together, each learns more about the other, even on Zoom. If we're congregants, we hope that our rabbi will come to care about us, to understand the history of our congregation and of our experience in it. If we're rabbis, we hope that our congregants will appreciate our approach to leading worship, to preaching and teaching, and to the moments we spend with them in joy and in grief. In short, we hope we will be seen, understood, and accepted. Many years ago, Rabbi Bargeron shared with me his recollection of the first time he walked into a synagogue. He was meeting friends whom you've now met, who invited him to attend services with them, but he arrived early. Imagine what might have happened, or more importantly, what might never have happened if no one had spoken to him, if the other early arrivals had ignored him completely. What would have happened if the congregants saw only his lack of familiarity with the sanctuary, his uncertainty where to sit or whether to sit, his inability to find the prayer book, and dismissed him as someone who really didn't belong there? He might have turned around and left, convinced that there was no place for him in the Jewish community. But thank God that wasn't what happened. Someone did walk up to Rabbi Bargeron. Someone made him feel welcome. That was many years ago, but I would argue, and I think he would agree, that we can draw a direct line from that moment and the moment we are marking this evening. The more that the prophet Bil'am saw of the Israelites, the more he understood them. He realized not only that God wanted him to bless rather than curse the people, he realized they were worthy of blessing. I know that the longer Rabbi Bargeron is with you, the more he comes to know you and you come to know him, the more you will each realize what a blessing you have found in each other. I pray that together you, like Bil'am, will be able to say with absolute confidence, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. How good is the sanctuary and the community that we dwell in together. Hen yehi ratzon. May this be God's will. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi Weisberg, for that powerful teaching, and thank you so much for the kindness you've offered our community in being with us tonight and in the words that you've given. And I look forward to learning some more with Rabbi Weisberg on Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. You'll hear a little more about it. And now I would like to invite Ellen Tom to the microphone.
Rabbi. The physical symbolism of passing the Torah through the generations of the congregation, Lador Vador, and then having our new rabbi place the Torah into the ark is a powerful way to start the relationship. This passing signaled the congregation's role in the selection and future with our rabbi. As we begin our formal consecration ceremony, a blessing will be read as the Torah is passed. Once the Torah has been placed in the hands of Rabbi Bargeron, I will then ask you, the congregation, to read the blessing on the handout and the one shared on Zoom. At this time, I would like to ask the following to come to the bima and stand in front of the ark: Fran Adler, Mike Rush, Ronnie Greenberg, Chana Katinsky, Isabella Wallet, and Rabbi Bargeron. Please rise if you are able as the ark is opened, and remain standing until it is closed. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, bless and sustain Rabbi Meir Bargeron. Grant him wisdom and compassion in equal measure to teach and comfort those in need. Give him strength to continue work in difficult times and generosity to share abundance when life is full. May he be blessed with a welcoming and supportive congregation and community. May Rabbi Bargeron help the congregation of Vesholom continue to be a home for celebration and exploration of Jewish learning, spirituality, and community. May Torah and tradition continue to be a source of joy for him, and may he be blessed with insight, inspiration, and joy as he contributes to Jewish learning and practice.
Thank you, Isabel.
together from strength to strength. We welcome you as our rabbi. Please join me in our congregational blessing. In your handout. Please say together, Rabbi Meir.
Thank you. And now it is my pleasure once again to invite Ellen Tom to the microphone.
We're going to switch again, but I'd like to invite Fran Adler and Mike Rush, who are co-chairs of our Rabbinic Search Committee, to share a few words.
Just over 3 years ago, Ellen Tom, our president, asked the two of us to co-chair a search committee to find the next rabbi of the congregation. Ellen joined our Elisa Coleman, Bruce Colgrove, Marty Loudon, Tom O'Neill, John Plain, Scott Salin, Tony Bolts, and Trotter. For a year, we were fortunate to find Rabbi Paula Winnet to serve as our interim rabbi. We continued our search, March and April. We are very grateful to our members for all the hours they spent and all the energy they expended. We definitely didn't do it alone. They stuck with us to find the right person and committed to seeing the process through. Then on February 3rd, 2020, at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Ellen, Mike, and I met by Skype with the man who would eventually become our rabbi. Although you were then a final year student at HUC in Rabbi Meir, at that meeting, we sensed that we might have found the right rabbi to lead our congregation. You and John came to Fort Wayne 12 days later for visits with the leadership and committees of Congregation Achduth Vesholom. When we met you on that Sunday morning, we felt your warmth, your kindness, and your comfort in the world. Over the next 2 very full days, we also experienced your intelligence, your love of Judaism, and your excitement at becoming a rabbi. By the time you left, we felt that we had made 2 dear friends, and even more, that we'd finally found the right rabbi to lead our congregation. We were thrilled when we learned that you'd also decided the Congregation Achduth Vesholom was the right place for you.
Rabbi, Hineni, here I am. has been an important part of becoming who you are. In fact, you told us, quote, Hineni is the wellspring from which I draw the energy to engage in this holy work. Your energy, especially since you came to us at a very difficult time, has been evident in so many ways. You have quietly and efficiently guided us through treacherous times, and you have risen to every challenge with grace and good humor. You have helped us maintain our sense of purpose, all the while keeping us focused on our Jewish identity. You made the Zoom room come alive at Friday night services, as illustrated by the crowd of regulars. Indeed, one of the great pleasures over the last year has been watching the pure joy you clearly feel and exude in your role as rabbi. We are so pleased that you and John are a part of our community, and it is our privilege to be a part of your official consecration as our rabbi. We wish you many happy and meaningful years as rabbi of Congregation Achduth Vesholom. And we offer our congregation as a wellspring to you as you go about your holy work. You and John are blessings to our community, and you will most certainly enrich others through your devotion to justice, goodness, and truth. May shalom be now yours now and always.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fran and Mike. Also, thank you again to our Rabbinic Search Committee. Rabbi, can you please join me? A fun time. I have the pleasure to present to you on behalf of the congregation two special gifts that will forever serve as a reminder of your consecration. You can open with John once you have time to catch your breath. The first gift is for your new home. It is a gorgeous copper art home blessing. That was a mouthful, from Israel. With a little help from John, we know you'll find the perfect place to hang it once you settle in.
You bet.
So you know it's approved. It's all good. For your second surprise, we created a beautiful keepsake book. This book contains good wishes, stories, experiences from our members and your friends. We hope you will find these words memorable and feel the love. Again, we are so grateful. You chose our temple community to be home for you, John and Charlie. And now we've also had the pleasure of seeing your family share Shabbat with us many times. So thank you, enjoy, and then I'll let you sit back down so I can do the announcement.
Okay.
All right.
Here we are. We've come to the end of our service, and Ellen did a masterful job of thanking everyone, and I want to repeat many names, but I am grateful to everyone who has played a part in planning this evening, in planning the possibility for John and I to be here, for helping John and I get settled as we moved to this new community, for helping me every day here in the temple with little and huge things. And I want to make a special thank you, and I will repeat, I am profoundly grateful to Hazemir and to John Planer for coming back to us tonight. It is making this moment in this community is old and new coming together. Thank you very much for bringing our tradition, reminding us of who we are, and bringing it back to us tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to Bob Nance for being such a good friend and musical partner of this community for so many years. I am so grateful for what you've done, and I'm so excited about what we will be able to do together. We will conclude our service with the Shabbat hymn song, Adon Olam, on page 625, page 625. Shabbat Shalom.